Hey Gemini, how's it going? At this time, you can watch and learn. There is a lesson that you can learn vicariously. You don't actually have to do the thing to learn from the thing. Perhaps someone else has recently done something or is going to do something that is either very great and useful and you can learn from it, or perhaps they made a mistake and you can learn from that without making the same mistake. But if you engage with a sense of watchfulness and contemplation and observation, eyes wide open, paying attention to the details, there's a lot that you can learn right now. There's a harvest of knowledge and wisdom that you can obtain. Also, something might be at risk of coming to an end unless you pay careful attention to it. That's not for everyone, but for some of you, there could be a friendship I'm getting, like some type of companionship that is at risk of ending right now. And maybe you want this to end, or maybe you don't. If you don't, you can carefully pay attention to it, give it some good observation and think deeply about it and decide where is it you want this to go. If you do want it to end, then understanding why you want it to end will be very important for you right now. Truly looking at your inner motives and determining why are you okay with letting this companionship or this relationship go. And when you realize why, the real why of it, you will gain a good deal of wisdom for yourself. It will be like a rebirth. There's a sense of a harvest coming, a sense of a cessation of suffering or an ending of a chapter and the beginning of a new chapter. So if you want to maintain this relationship, it will have to occur in a new way. Something old has to be eliminated so that something new can grow. A harvest must be harvested for the sake of the seeds so that you can plant these seeds. And you have to really be careful of where and when you want to plant these new seeds. So it's not so much a time for action as it is a time for observation and contemplation. We have this idea of looking above from below. This is a watchfulness that's rooted in virtue of what is the right thing, of what is psychologically and spiritually good for you and for others. What is the proper thing to do? How should it be done? When should it be done? What is it exactly? And having your eyes toward the above, wide open at the things of a higher nature, are going to inform how you act when the time comes to act in the world. So having yourself in tune with higher values is going to allow you to learn what the proper actions to take are. So we have this idea of preparing for something, for a step you're going to take, meditation and so on. The I Ching hexagram that I got for you is, in fact, watching. It's called Guan. And there's an incarnation of the Buddha that the Chinese call Guan Yin and the Indians call Avalokiteshvara. Guan Yin literally means watching the sound, and Avalokiteshvara was the teacher of Nada Yoga, which is the meditation on sound, external sounds, bodily sounds, the sounds of our thoughts, and the more deeper, subtle, spiritual and subconscious sounds that occur in the more primordial universe. And watching or paying attention to all these different levels of sound, from the most material external to the most spiritual internal, and the gradation between them, but not getting caught up in it, not being distracted by it, but using it as a means to look within and to understand our inner motives. Nada yoga is a very important form of yoga that is often overlooked because it's a little strange to focus on sound. It can be a little tricky at first. You kind of have to get used to the idea of external listening, bodily listening, and internal listening, how they're different and how they're the same. But it's a really great way to understand the senses that are governed by the throat chakra, hearing particularly, and speaking. I know speaking is not a sense, but it's a function governed by the throat chakra. So watching is not just a third eye thing, it's the third eye plus the throat. And if you can harmonize those two or work with those two chakras simultaneously at this time, there'll be a great benefit to you. So listening could be very good, listening to wise words from someone. Again, we have this idea of vicarious learning. Learning through watching or listening. Maybe your learning style is visual or auditory. Maybe you want to explore visual and auditory learning styles at this time. And maybe you've been struggling with learning because you've been learning in maybe a kinesthetic environment or a writing environment or a reading environment, and it might be frustrating you, it might not be working. So try and take those same lessons and see if you can tweak the lessons or the teaching program so that it caters more to a listening learning style or a visual learning style, and that might unlock the knowledge that you're looking for. The learning process might become more enjoyable. There's also this idea of instruction. So you could be the one that's setting an example for others, or that is being watched by others. And when we're watched by others, we need to really be sure of our inner motives and our why we're doing what we're doing, because people judge us, and our success in this endeavor that depends on these other people will be determined by how well or how poorly they judge us. And they won't want to work with us if they judge us poorly. So if our inner motives are bad, selfish, etc., people will see right through it at this time. You might have a lot of responsibility right now with others or over others, and their eyes are wide open and they're watching you like a hawk. Like especially if you're in a leadership position, leaders are always watched and scrutinized very, very carefully by others, and they'll pick up on the slightest misstep, the slightest show of inner weakness or selfishness or some ulterior motive. It will be highlighted. There'll be a spotlight on any ulterior motives that you may have. So make sure you are watching yourself and understanding your motives and purifying them if necessary. If you are engaging with the world and with others, you can also use this as an opportunity to sort of see the world as a mirror of yourself. So you can see how people react to your conduct. And in their reactions, you can see yourself. You can see, it's like looking into a mirror, how the people around us react to us can help inform our own motives and our own inner nature. Oftentimes, other people know us better than we know ourselves sometimes. Sometimes observers can see things that we overlook. If we're not paying too careful attention to ourselves, someone else will see our mistakes, our shortcomings, our flaws, our selfishness far more readily and apparently than we'll see it ourselves, especially the things that are difficult for us to see. So it can be very useful to use the world as a mirror if we feel that there is something that we're missing within our self-observation, and we can see how people react to us, and that might clue us in to what it is we're missing when we practice our self-observation. So putting all this together, there is a sort of satellite of helpfulness around you. There's an aura of not being in this alone, or of just being energetically or spiritually supported, or maybe socially or financially supported in this preparation stage, in this watching stage, this meditative stage, this learning stage. This stage of contemplation and observation is looked at as productive by those around you. They see it as a noble thing, as a good idea. So if you feel like you need to sort of take some time, meditate, think, contemplate, watch, and learn, oftentimes we can feel that we don't have time to do it, we need to be productive. But it's not going to matter at this time. You can safely choose to do it, and no one around you is going to judge you poorly for it. In fact, they'll judge you positively for it. They'll see, oh, this is actually productive. It might not be economically productive, but it is productive in that you are learning, and you will take those skills, and whatever next steps you take, you'll take that knowledge, that wisdom, those skills, and everything will work out much more effectively when the time comes to start moving again. So don't worry if you have to take time to meditate and learn. If you have to take a break from work to go back to school, if you have to watch some documentaries or study some artists or someone else who's skilled at the particular task that you wish to perform, and just learning through watching and finding teachers and stuff, whether it's watching videos on the internet or whether it's actually going to a metalworking shop in your local industrial district and learning from them, like whatever it is, just go around from place to place and look for knowledge, and look for vicarious learning opportunities where you don't necessarily have to do the thing that you want to do. You just have to watch others do it and see how it's done, and that will unfold for you really positively. So let's find out what this kind of harvest is, or this chapter that needs to end. This sort of Erythial Saturnian energy here, like this. Something's coming to a close and new seeds are being planted. Like something's coming to a close for the sake of new seeds. You know, reaping the harvest just for the seed. You might not need the harvest, you just need the resources to plant a new one. Yeah, the Ace of Pentacles here. So yeah, this is, there's something that grew and fruited and blossomed, and it might not necessarily be yours to take the fruit of the harvest, but you can essentially take the seeds of this harvest for yourself, for your own. This could be that vicarious learning. You've seen someone plant seeds, tend the fields, produce the fruit or the wheat, and harvest it. And you saw the whole process. And so now you can do it too. And you'll have just as much success as this person, perhaps even more. It's kind of like the sky is the limit here. So that's the thing that's at risk of ending, is the learning experience itself, and this other person's activity. The thing that they planted, grew, and harvested is over now for them, but it could be just beginning for you. And this person, I get the sense, is helpful. They want you to learn from them. They want you to be able to benefit from what they did, even though the harvest belongs to them. It's not your harvest. But the lesson and the seeds and all of that, and what you can do with their wisdom and knowledge and their spirit, essentially, can be yours. And you can carry it on into the future, do something with it just as successfully as they did, or perhaps even more so. Let's find out who this person is, or what this energy is, this sort of companion, nurse energy. Someone who understands something. And someone who is supportive. A very supportive person is with you, or an energy. Okay, we have the Eight of Cups here. See, perhaps this person is unable to harvest the fruits of their labor. It's possible something cut their time short. Something came up to where the harvest doesn't belong to anyone anymore, but it still worked. There could be some extenuating circumstances where it all worked out, but for whatever reason, no one's going to benefit from the fruits of the labor from some extenuating circumstance. Let me clarify this. Okay, so the 10 of Wands. It could be something that someone doesn't really want. It could be something that's just too much, or they weren't expecting it to be successful. This is like that they were afraid of their success maybe, and they didn't necessarily want to succeed. They kind of just planted the seeds and tended it without thinking about success, and then when success came, it might have been too much of a burden for them to deal with all of it, and perhaps they're giving it up. But you might be able to do the same thing they did, and again, learn from that mistake. Be prepared for success. Don't do this flippantly. Do it preparing for success, and that could be the state of contemplation is, I can do this too. It will work out as well because it worked out for them. So I need to know what to do when it does work out. That could be the important thing here. When I get my harvest, how will I deal with it, and what can I do with it? And how can I use that to improve my life, the lives of others, or to progress in some way, or to utilize it, to make use of this harvest and not let it go to waste? So I'm going to pull a token for you, Gemini. One last thing to round out this reading. What does Gemini need to know? Ooh, interesting. Got the Spectre. One of the 3 occult symbols here. These are the rarest in my token collection. Yes, that's a flying saucer with a little beam coming out of it. Don't judge me. But essentially, what the Spectre is something that appears one way, but is something else. It appears in a way that we can understand. It's something that is teaching us, but we can't be satisfied with the superficiality of its appearance. The phenomenology of it can be described, but it's the integration of the meaning that's more important. The phenomenology, or the surface description of the thing, is not so important. The actual thing that it appears to be, or the thing that it is in the 3D world, is not as important as the meaning that it has for you. So this lesson, this could be, you know how like a painter can learn from a welder. Welding has very little to do with painting, but you can see how a welder who truly cares about his craft prepares his materials, how he takes care of his tools, how he diligently performs his duty, how he focuses on the task at hand, how he finishes and polishes the work. There's a whole process, and a painter can learn a lot just from watching a welder. You can learn how to prepare your brushes and oils and whatnot. You can learn how to get in that state of mind of a welder, and how to perform the task with the same diligence and focus. So it's not the thing that matters here, it's its meaning. And here, it can have different meanings for everybody. It can have different meanings for this person that you're learning from. The person that you're learning from might not understand why you're interested in this at all. They might not understand the meaning it has for you because it has a particular meaning for them. It's different. But here you have to really think through the phenomenology of it, look more closely at the symbolism of what it is you're interested in, what it is you're learning from. Look for the depth, the suchness within the phenomenon and not the phenomenon itself, and puzzle over it. And find out why you're interested in this, because it might be something that you really generally aren't interested in, but for some reason at this time you are, because you can subconsciously feel that there's a lesson to be learned here. And understanding the symbolism of the thing is more important than the thing. Understanding how a person engages with the thing is more important than the thing. And integrating that meaning by reflecting on things that happened in your past. There could be a symbol or a part of this thing that actually brings up an old memory or is related to an old memory or a fear or an insecurity or a triumph, a happy memory, something is within you that is linked and attached to this thing you're learning from. Look within yourself and find what is being sparked, what is being magnetized within you, whether it's a memory or an experience that you have. Symbolically, it's being lit up right now. When you find what that part of you is, then you can integrate the meaning of this phenomenon, of this learning experience. And when you discover the meaning and integrate the meaning into your personality, that's when the answer will come. That's what you can do when you get the harvest. You can maybe help others overcome that trauma that you found, or maybe you can help others to develop the happiness that you found, or whatever it is. You can, that will be the key, the sort of connecting thread to the harvest that you will have in the future in this endeavor. And you will know what to do with it. It will be to explore it further and to either cure it if it's a wound, or to expand it if it's a happiness or a virtue. And it will be of great benefit to yourself and of others. So really, really finding and integrating the meaning of the thing you're learning from might be more important than the thing itself. So Gemini, I think that's where the Oracle and I are going to leave it for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I always appreciate you stopping by. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.